Alright, welcome everyone. This is Tech again with another Crusader Kings 2 tutorial video from my tutorial series. This will probably be the last video actually in the tutorial series, and then I will shortly be starting an actual Let's Play series for Crusader Kings 2, which will then expand upon, you know, everything we learned in the first, I guess it's 7 videos now. So you can watch that series once I get it started, probably here within the next day or so. I'm still trying to decide which country or, you know, duke or king or whatever I want to start with. I've already played a series. I've already played one game with Denmark for about 150 years, and then kind of put that on hold while I was doing the tutorial series, which you guys saw me doing with Castile. And once I finished the series, I kind of put Castile now on hold. So now I really want to properly start a Let's Play and play it all the way through. So I'll get that started here very soon. But again, this is going to be the second episode of my top questions for the tutorial series. And really, we're only going to cover maybe 2 or 3 topics here, I believe, that I have written down that I'll look over here in just a second. But without holding off any longer, let's go ahead and get started. Alright, the first item on this episode is we're going to talk about real quickly, and this won't take but a couple minutes. Sometimes you may see this notification pop up. I've had a couple people ask about this, where it comes up and it says, 1 children lack a guardian. And usually you'll get this notification once one of your children get to a certain age, which, I don't know, I guess it's around 6 or so, something like that. Or you can even get this notification if the person who was the guardian dies or takes another position in another area or something to that effect. So you have to reassign them a guardian, so to speak. The way you can take care of this notification, and if you hover over here, you'll see when you actually click on it, well, when you hover on it, you can actually see the following children need a guardian. It says the name. You can just click on it, and then it brings that child up. Okay, and you can see it's my daughter here, Princess Christine of Castile. And the way you take care of this, first of all, first note is for sons, especially your eldest son. Generally, you're going to want to pick your character, your king, to be their guardian. With your daughters, you can, if you have a wife that has really high stats, you can do that, or you can just pick someone else that has, you know, a high ranking and a stat that you kind of want to help the child with. So, but let's show you how to do it real quick anyway. What you'll do is you'll just right click on their portrait here, go to the diplomacy, and you can select this button down here at the bottom that says Educate Child. And then here it says you can select a guardian from the court of King Sancho II of Castile. So right down here you have your daughter, and then you can sit here, click on here to pick the educator. So select it, and you even see it says up here, select guardian. And basically it's showing you a list of everybody that you can pick as a guardian in your realm. And like I said, you can pick yourself, especially if it's your sons or your heir, which is, I don't really know the actual proper reason why you want to do that, but I know I've read it several times from other people, and I think even in one of the dev videos I remember them saying something to the effect of, you know, if at all possible, you want your heir's guardian to be your king, your character, or the king. So anyway, if we just kind of look at this list, one thing we may want to do is we could just pick the queen for it. I mean, her diplomacy is pretty high. That's probably not a terrible choice. There's probably some other ones. You could probably look on this list and, you know, say, well, if we want her to, you know, have a good education under learning, here we could pick this guy right here. This guy has a 21 in learning, which is probably pretty good. And it even says he's considered a masterful scholar. So that's probably a pretty good choice, actually. And actually, I should be looking at why he isn't my court chaplain. I think this guy is my court chaplain right here with a 15. And he's getting older. He's about to die. He's at 53, you know. These times were hard, so I may eventually pick this guy. But let's go ahead and set him as the guardian. And then we'll just do send. And now it says she's being tutored by Bishop Louis of Segovia. So that's how you do that. Pretty straightforward. Okay, the next topic here is about the anti-pope. I've had some people ask about, what is the anti-pope, how does that work, and everything else. First of all, just a little bit of a recap, and this is some slight bit of information we've covered before. But first of all, in relation to taxes, because this is kind of what it all comes back to, is in relation to taxes, you receive taxes for the counties you hold, and also you will receive them from the bishops of the churches in the bishoprics in your area if the bishop likes you more than they like the pope. And as you saw in the earlier video right before this, I kind of went around and showed you where, like, if you hover here over the taxes, you can see that I'm receiving taxes. If you hover here, there's three things in this area. There's the county capital, there's the city of Burgos, and there's the bishopric of Silos. And if you hover over the taxes right here, the first number it says is paid to us and the total income. And right there it's only showing Palencia and Burgos is ones that we are actually getting money from. We are not getting money from Silos. The reason we're not getting the money from Silos, and make sure which one did I have selected there. Yeah, Burgos, okay. The reason we're not getting it from Silos is right here. If you look here, Bishop Tello, he has a higher opinion, 68, of the Pope than he does of me at 59. So I will not receive the tax money from this area. However, if you look at another area, like say Zamora here, Bishopric Benavente, if you hover over it, you'll see on the list here that pops up, I'm getting tax from Zamora, Toro, and Benavente. The reason I get it from Benavente is because, and I think that's my chaplain, right here, Bishop Aurelio, he is the Bishop of Benavente, Bishop of Hijar, and he's my court chaplain. He has an opinion of 100 to me, whereas he only has an opinion of 58 of the Pope, so I receive that tax money. So how does that tie back into the anti-pope? Well, what the anti-pope is if you set an anti-pope and elect an anti-pope, it will make all churches that like you or the anti-pope more than the Pope pay taxes to you. So to reiterate that is, in this situation here, if Bishop Tello likes me, or if he likes Aurelio, say I set Aurelio as the anti-pope, and here's the button right here, and you can generally, I believe you can only make the anti-pope someone who has an opinion of 100, I believe, is how that works. Because you notice here, these two guys, the button's highlighted, but the other ones, actually, I'm not sure. It's ones that I can appoint as successors to. So, but getting back to the topic is, if Bishop Tello likes Bishop Aurelio more than the Pope, then I will get the tax money and not the Pope. So it basically, by you setting an anti-pope, it makes it where either yourself or the anti-pope can get the taxes for you from the other bishops. As long as they like either one of you. They could even hate, and you could even be, much lower, but if he likes the anti-pope higher, you will get the money, not the Pope. So that's part of the benefit. However, the bigger bonus is in addition, every bishop in your realm will pay tax to you if they like the anti-pope more than the real pope or their liege. So that's saying that an area like this, say this county over here, Vizcaya, I will not get any money from Vizcaya because it's under another vassal. It's just, I'm not getting any money from that. However, if I have an anti-pope and the bishop in this area, whoever the bishop is, I'm not sure if it's, if we can take a look here, right here, Bishop Fernando, Fernando de San Sebastian. Bishop of San Sebastian. If I have an anti-pope, if this guy, if he likes, which you can look here, his liege, his opinion of his liege is only 8, and his opinion of the pope is 68. If he has a higher opinion of my anti-pope that I designate, say it's 72 or something, then he will pay money to me instead of the pope, even though he's not even my bishop in my county or anything else. Instead of him sending the money off to the pope, he will send it to me instead. So that's pretty big. So where that really comes into play, though, is that you're not going to want to set an anti-pope when you have a very small realm. You know, if you have a small realm, like even to the size of what I have here with Castile, where I only have, you know, what is it, 27 realm size, and it's only really, what, 3, 6, 9 counties or whatever, it's not worth setting an anti-pope, because first of all, you have to take a 500 prestige hit, and then there's a few other factors that come into play also. So it's really not worth it. Where the anti-pope comes into play is when you have a pretty large realm. When you have a very large realm that has a ton of counties and bishoprics, and just it's a really large area, like say, you know, maybe like say England or something to that effect. That's where it really comes into play, because you can really get a significant amount of income coming in to your realm, to your character, by having your anti-pope go around and get his opinion really high with all these other counties that aren't necessarily yours, and you can just really start racking in some serious money coming in from that. So it's a big income boost through the taxes. I mean, you can end up having it where you'll be getting much more income through your anti-pope than you will through just your normal taxes on your counties and all, when you have a larger country. So, and again, that's all underneath here. This is where you can set to do it, and then there's a little description here. If you actually hover over anti-pope button, it says allows you to excommunicate any character in the realm, protects them from excommunication by the official pope. Bishops who like the anti-pope better than the pope will pay taxes to us instead. However, creating an anti-pope will cost 500 prestige and will lower the moral authority of the church by 20%. So again, it's a big income deal, especially if you have a larger country. Generally, you know, some people would say, well, you can also use it where if the opinion of you with a lot of your bishops and stuff is really low, you can use the anti-pope. You know, maybe they like the anti-pope better than you, and, you know, if your opinion's 10, you know, you're never going to get it to, you know, 68 to be, you know, have higher opinion and collect those taxes. But however, for me, from my point of view, when you have a smaller country like this, and, you know, I'm only dealing with, you know, 4 or 5 bishops. I mean, you can see here I have a higher opinion with almost all these guys. You know, 1, 2, 3, 4. I mean, there's only one guy, and it's only about, you know, I could easily get this 59 over 68. So, I mean, if you're in a situation like I am here, there's really no reason to be doing an anti-pope. This is really only if you have a pretty large realm, is generally how I look at it. So. Alright, the next part we're going to discuss here is something that some people ask about, and that has to do with the technology items. And we'll just pull it up here and take a look at it real quick. You basically have 3 areas of technology: military advances, economy advances, and culture advances. And we discussed some in the earlier videos, how you kind of use your council to help with that and to further it, and other things. Events pop up sometimes that will help to increase your advances and all that. But getting into the in particular items here, and I won't cover all of them, because I mean, you can go into the game here and just hover over these, and if you just leave your hover over it, it'll basically explain what the item is. I thought I would just point a couple of them out in particular. If you really are not wanting to think about it too much, or not really sure what to do, I thought I would kind of bring it up, a couple issues in regards to it. First of all, your council members, when you are setting them to go do the cultural training and like let me, where is it at here? Research cultural tech here with your court chaplain, and research economy tech with your steward, and then research military tech. When you're doing any of these researches, generally the best place to do it is in your capital, because if you can get your capital to be higher, the way the technology advances work is it spreads out to other counties surrounding it. So usually it's a good idea to just kind of focus most all of your energy, just concentrate on your capital province. So that's usually the first thing you kind of want to take into consideration. But in regards to the actual technology items themselves, and another good tip too is, and this just kind of goes without saying, is in regards to your counselors, you want to try to have your chancellor be as good a score as possible, because the learning score directly relates to the growth advances. So that's something that's very important. So I mean, you kind of always want to be checking your chancellor, try to get him as good a score as possible, which 12 on this guy kind of sucks, really. I mean, you kind of want to try to get up around 14 plus if you can. In regards to the actual abilities themselves, I mean, obviously you can look through them, and if there's depending on what country you're playing, and some things that you have in regards to buildings and text that bonuses you have, things like that, it may change certain decisions that you make. But I'll cover a couple of them in particular. In the military advances, tactics is a pretty good one to put your training into. It basically helps to keep the morale of your armies up. So if you have any issues with that, that's usually a decent one to put into your training. And of course, any of these you can focus your training by clicking the magnifying glass. Another popular one that a lot of people do is just do infantry melee weapons. Generally, the largest percentage of your army is your infantry. So, you know, infantry melee weapons is always good. It helps them to do more damage, and you know, your light. You can see here it shows light infantry attack, heavy infantry attack, and pikeman attack. So I mean, generally, if you just really don't know anything else you want to mess with, infantry melee weapons is a decent choice to make. You can also do with the armor and things like that, but yeah, generally just you kind of look at that and just kind of make the decision how you want. Now with economy, there's a couple that are in particular that are really good. I mean, there's a lot of these that all kind of have bonuses. One in particular that's really good though is farming. Basically, it increases your castle tax. Castles by default are one of your lower of the buildings that are in a province area. They're usually one of your lowest tax revenues anyway. So anything you can do to create a larger percentage of it coming to you is decent. So you know, that's something to take into consideration. But that's usually farming is one of your better choices. Another really good one though, in addition to farming, is the castle infrastructure right here. This unlocks extra buildings so that you can add larger, basically help you to increase your levy size and also income as a result. But it allows you to build more castle structures, and like I said, generally like the great, right here when I'm hovering, you can see like great stable and large castle city, large training grounds. All of those will generally help you to increase your levy size so you can pull more troops out of that area. So castle infrastructure is very good, especially if you have a smaller realm. You know, if you're starting off as, you know, as a small duke or something with only 3, you know, counties or whatever, so you only have 3 forts or 3 castles, not forts. I think I'm crossing my games up here, but castle infrastructure can be very useful. So farming and castle infrastructure in particular are pretty good. As you can see here on this game, I have farming selected, and I have infantry melee weapons selected over there. For your culture technologies, and just to wrap this up pretty quickly, legalism is a very good one, and you can see I have that selected right now. Legalism is good, especially if you have a young king or a new king. you know, like your king just passed away and then your heir is picking it up, you'll notice sometimes you will always have that negative towards people of short reign. This helps to combat that. By training in legalism, it will decrease the penalty for short reign, and that's really helpful because it helps to keep your vassals you know, in the green, so to speak, much easier. It also helps you to, as you can see right here, legalism 2, it says short reign years -2, which is pretty good. It's actually a plus, but, and then it also says that a +1 defense size for king and emperors, and also for dukes and barons. So even if you're not playing as a king, if you're playing as a duke, it will increase your defense size by 1. And then you can see there, legalism 3, it's -3, and then increases defense by another 1, basically. So that's pretty good. Legalism is a good one. If you don't know anything else to do, legalism is always good. The other one is noble customs up here. Noble customs is good because it generally it will increase your opinion with nobles, which right here you can see improve relations with vassal feudal lords. So basically your vassals, who your main nobles who are controlling your other counties, it's in particular your vassals. It will increase your opinion with them, so that's always good. So those two in particular are pretty good. Some of these other ones are a little more specialized for different things, but noble customs and legalism are two very good ones. So, and as you can see right now in this game, I'm using infantry melee weapons, farming, and legalism. So those are a little bit of tips on the whole technology thing. Again, focus on your capital, and then just set them up to your liking, and that's it.